Hey, Table Rock Fishing Intel members, Eric Prey, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Again, thanks for being Intel Pro members. Do appreciate your support and enabling us to do what we do. This is your weekly video fishing reports, the extended play version for Tuesday, March 21st. Been out on the water since the last video. I'm 5 days. Fished over the weekend when it was frigid. But not fish Monday or today. Not fishing today because of the rain. 45 degrees, pouring down rain. Just got clients didn't want to go out. I really didn't want to go out. So I'm going to be back on the water for the rest of the week. Pretty much all the way through almost to the end of the month. I don't think I've got another open day till the end of the month. But bite's been okay. Some days are a little bit more, you've got to grind a little bit more than others, but we have been catching fish pretty much every time we've gone out. As far as our lake level, we're at 915.5, half a foot above pool. Got rain coming today, got rain coming towards the end of the week. Corps did shut the gates late last week. Probably going to have to open them back up if we get as much rain as they're calling for. Water temperature has not moved much. We're still right around 50 degrees. This cold rain may drop it a little bit, but then we've got warm rain coming to the end of the week. Hopefully we'll start to see that water temperature warming up, and we'll start to see these fish get more into a pre-spawn mode, which is where they should be right now, but everything's kind of delayed by our water temperature cooling off. Bite's been good. You know, best way, you guys know, stay on top of it. Keep your Table Rock Fishing Intel Pro membership. We've had a lot of daily reports. Had reports from the AIA over the weekend. Still got guys out there fishing even when it's cold and nasty out. Some of our guys are spoonbilling, and we don't really do much with the spoonbill stuff, but we still have some daily reports, and we'll have a bunch more daily reports coming later this week. But if you're coming down, you're going to fish the lower end of the lake. The lower end continues to be tough. If I were going to fish the lower end, I would probably run up Long Creek. There's been a decent crankbait bite up Long Creek with a wiggle wart or a rock crawler, mostly on the ends of channel swings. The better channel swings seem to be the ones where it'll flatten out at the end of the swing. You know, you've got a pocket or a creek where the channel swing comes to an end and it flattens out, and those fish will actually move up on that flat throughout the day and feed a little bit more heavily, and it seems like that's where I'm catching some of the better fish, is by targeting those areas where those fish can get up on that flat with a wiggle wart or a rock crawler. And catching a few on a single swim bait down there as well. Kitech 2.8 on a 1/4 ounce head. Those fish, pretty much all over the lake, have been relating to wood cover. I got to have either trees or brush piles or something that will hold those fish on that wood cover. Jerkbait bite, threw a jerkbait a little bit. I know some of the guys who fished the AIA did well with a jerkbait. I'm not getting the bites that these guys are getting, to be honest with you. I've caught catching a few, but they're not the quality that I seem to be able to catch on other things. So I've kind of passed up on the jerkbait. Then the A-rig bite, you can still catch them on an A-rig. I'm doing better with a single swim bait. I don't know if it's because the fish are getting accustomed to the A-rig, or every year we get this transition where the A-rig starts to go away and swim bait, crankbait, jig, that sort of thing starts to really play a lot more. I don't know if that's where we're at, but it's starting to feel that way for me. I seem to be able to catch better fish and more fish throwing a small single swim bait than I do with an A-rig right now. So use that for what it's worth. Go to the mid-lake. Like I said, we fished the AIA on Saturday, and I don't think we went more than 2 miles either side of the bridge in Kimberling City. I know we didn't go down lake more than 2 miles, and we might have went 3 miles up above. Pretty much stayed in the mid-lake all day. Caught a bunch of cookie cutter Kentuckys. I don't know, we had several keepers and one short. Everything on a single swim bait. Everything around trees, around brush piles, that sort of thing. Everything was on wood. If we got away from the wood, we just did not seem to be able to get a bite. The areas where I have been catching some better fish, we had some pretty strong winds on Saturday, and it was cold. We really struggled to get bit the areas that I've been catching the better fish on. So we wound up with a 12.5 pound limit of 2.5 pound Kentuckys, but everything was on a single swim bait. Have been catching them on an A-rig out of trees as well down there, but on Saturday they didn't want it. You could watch fish on your forward-facing sonar, and that A-rig would come through a tree or come over top of a brush pile, and if they were up, they would actually lower back down either into the tree or into the brush rather than chase the A-rig. So keep that in mind for what it's worth. I think warmer day, cloudy day, they probably would have eaten the A-rig a little bit better than they did that day. And then caught them on a jig last week, but we threw a jig for about 45 minutes on Saturday. I think we had 1 or 2 bites, but they just nothing going on the jig. We were catching them on a 7/16 Jewel Pro Spider jig in Okeechobee Blue last week, using the Speed Crawler trailer, but mostly on rock and gravel mix. It was just a weird, cold, miserable day on Saturday, and the jig bite just wasn't there. Did throw a jerk bait for a little bit. I know some of the guys that finished better in the AIA caught them on a jerk bait. They kind of alternated jerk bait and A-rig. Never had a bite on it on Saturday. Have caught a few last week on it, but mostly, again, cookie cutter Kentuckys, catching some 14 to 16 inch smallmouth, not catching the blacks that I like to catch on a jerk bait. So might be the areas I'm fishing, might be the cover I'm fishing, but talking to the guys who did well in the tournament, I'm fishing the same stuff they are. It's a timing issue possibly. The fish are coming out when, when the guy may be fishing it and not coming out when I'm fishing it, but I'm not doing as well on a jerk bait. Go up the James, went up the James one day last week. As far as numbers of fish, caught a ton of fish up the James, but a lot of shorts, a lot of short blacks and short Kentuckys. A lot of them on a single swim bait, Contact 2.8, mostly on bluff ends, around standing timber, around brush piles, that sort of thing. Caught a couple on an A-rig, had one decent fish on an A-rig, about a 4-pounder on an A-rig last week, up off of a brush pile that was in about 15 foot of water. But really, for the most part, right now, guys, I'm not catching the big fish I need to catch to do well in tournaments. I'm catching a lot of fish, a lot of cookie cutter Kentuckys and smallmouth and smaller blacks, but I'm just struggling to find the better fish that I normally catch in the late spring pre-spawn period. But are catching them on a swim bait, are catching them on an A-rig, caught a few on a jig, and then we caught quite a few on a crankbait, but again, 15 to 16 inch fish. Not really catching the better fish that I've been catching down lake, but if you hit those channel swings, hit those flats, just like up the Kings River, if you've got a channel swing and there's a flat on the end of it, not only fish a channel swing, go back into that flat a little bit and target those fish that have moved up and started feeding on those flats that are kind of pre-spawn. White River, same story on the White River. Your best bite or most consistent bite is on the single swim bait. Contact 2.8, quarter ounce head, around trees, around brush piles, any sort of wood. A few of them on docks, a few of them on dock cables as well, but really the bite has been stronger around wood than anywhere else. Single swim bait, catching a few on an A-rig, doing the same thing, throwing it around trees, throwing it around brush piles, keying on those areas towards the, not really pre-spawn areas, not where they're staging up, but where they're coming out of the deep water and moving to the shallow water, hitting the ends of those channel swings, again, those flats at the ends of channel swings. Even though you're not in the dirty water where you're throwing a crankbait, have been catching quite a few by targeting trees or brush that are on those flats and in those flatter pockets, bluff pockets or channel swing end pockets. Those have been really good for me. For the last week up the White River, didn't throw jerkbait at all when I was up the White River. It's costing me. I know it cost me in the AIA, probably should have thrown it a lot more, but I've just not been getting bit on the jerkbait the way I feel like I should, so I've not been fishing it as much as I probably should. Trying to transition, trying to do something different, trying to keep getting bit, and my best bite continues to be on a single swim bait. Did throw a jig and threw a crankbait up the Kings when I was up there. Crankbait bite is really pretty darn good up the Kings River. It's got decent watercolor to it, and the ends of those channel swings, from Viola on up, you just kind of hop channel swings back and forth and back and forth. Ends of those channel swings have been producing quite a few fish. Again, I'm not catching a lot of big fish, or I would have run all the way up there. on Saturday, but just catching a lot of numbers, a lot of 2 to 3 pound fish on a crankbait, either a wiggle wart or a rock crawler. Actually doing a little better with a wiggle wart than I'm a rock crawler, just because of the amount of debris that is up there. And the wiggle wart seems to come through that debris better and easier than the rock crawler does. And then we caught a few on a jig up there as well when I was up there, kind of slowing down, going back into those pockets and going back into the little coves at the ends of those channel swings, pitching a jig around some of the wood cover. We caught a few fish doing that as well. Guys, we're almost through March and it feels like February. I think I said that last week too. But the bite is getting a little bit more consistent. Hopefully we've said goodbye to winter with this past weekend, because it was brutally cold this weekend and not a whole lot of fun. But definitely starting to see some things turn around. I think this weekend, this warmer rain that's coming in and this warmer water that's coming in, we're definitely going to see some things start to turn on, and things will start to get better starting this weekend. Of course, you guys know the best way to know. Stay with Table Rock Fishing Intel. Get those daily reports, those weekly reports. Get this extended weekly report. We're going to share as much information as we can with you to help you catch more fish on Table Rock Lake. If you're coming down there and want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusfishing.com, and you can either shoot me an email or book online. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. But guys, thanks for being Table Rock Fishing Intel members. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.